Okay, so today I'm going to show you guys how I made this rocking horse out of plywood layered. I got this 3D plan on cdtrader.com and it costs $20, which isn't bad at all. It comes with the model itself and with all the skins, but I'm not really interested in the skins, I'm just interested in the model. Okay, so after downloading it to my desktop, I'm going to start by opening it with 3D Builder. This is the application that comes with Windows 10, so you don't have to buy or download this. It's going to say in millimeters and import. Now, the reason why I first imported into 3D Builder is because it's going to repair any problems with the model itself. Here at the bottom left you can see it saying one or more objects are invalidly defined. Click here to repair. So it's going to quickly repair it for me. If I don't do this, I'm going to run into bugs when I put it into Slicer itself. Not all models, you don't have to do it with all models, but I know this one specifically does need it. So after repairing it, I'm going to save it as a object, OBJ format. Save it to desktop, place it. Okay, so there's my rocking horse object. I'm gonna open up Slicer. Import. Go to my desktop. Rocking horse, open. There we go. No problem. Okay, so I'm going to select the material I'm going to use. I'm going to use 11mm plywood. If this one I added, you add a material by pressing this plus sign, and you can edit the thicknesses and the width and the length and all of that. But I already have one. It's a 2.5 meter by 2.5 meter by 11 millimeters in size. Select that. Next, select the physical size of the horse and make it 800 millimeters high. It's updated. Okay, so next up, the slicing technique. This slicer provides a lot of different ways of slicing this. The one I'm going to be using is the stacked slices, because I'm going to be cutting this out of plywood, and I'm going to stack it up into the 3D model. There's something wrong here. Oh, it's reverted. Okay, let me just select the plywood again. There we go. Alright, so there's my 3D model sliced into 11mm plywood. Alright, so I'm going to select dowels. Okay, I think I'm going to slice it the other way and just change the orientation. So to change the slice orientation, you just select the plane and then drag it 90 degrees. Okay, now it's sliced horizontally. I think that's going to be better because it's going to be stronger. If I slice it vertically, then it's not going to be as strong. Alright. Okay. Okay, just select the automatic dowels. Okay, so if you don't know, dowels is just basically it's going to create holes for me to put wooden dowels through. This is going to help a lot when I'm putting it together after cutting it out. Alright, what's next? Okay. Here I can thicken it, I can make it hollow, or I can shrink wrap it. I'm not really sure what shrink wrap is, but I'm definitely gonna make it hollow. Alright, so if I drag this slider, it you'll see these lines, the shell of the horse becomes thinner, and that looks about right. Just gonna say apply. This is just to make the model a bit lighter. I think if I make this out of solid wood, it's gonna weigh a ton. You can see the slices, as all of them have that hollow area now. Okay. If I click on assembly steps, you can see all the layers. You can see the hollow parts inside of the horse. Okay, and that's it. I'm just going to click on get plans. There's all my plans. And select a PDF. Is this in inches or in millimeters? Anyway, export to my computer. Just gonna call it horse PDF. Okay, so before importing this into ArtCam, I'm just going to split it into separate PDFs. Insert, extract, okay. Extract pages 1 to 13, extract pages as separate file. And I'm going to save this on my desktop again. Let's just make a new folder for all of them. Okay, so there's all my PDFs. Each sheet is exported as a separate PDF. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open ArtCam. New model. Okay, so this is the size of my plywood. It's 1.2 by 1.2 meters. Resolution isn't that important here. I'm gonna leave it at that. Say okay. Okay, so I'm gonna import each vector. Import vector. Where did I save it now? Desktop or PDF? First one. Okay, so I'm gonna ungroup this and only keep the layers that I really want. So these numbers, I don't think I'm gonna keep them. These lines just gonna confuse me. Okay, I'm going to keep the dials and the hollow areas. I think I'm going to group these together and then move them to the side. Group them together. Move them to the side. Okay. Alright, so everything is grouped. I'm going to delete this border. Okay, so now I can start nesting all of the the objects. You can use the default nesting, but as you can see, it's very wasteful. It's not very economical. It's like that, for example, can easily fit in here. You get the point. Alright, so that's what I'm basically doing now. Alright, so I just want to quickly mention one huge mistake I just made. You can see here my starting point for my CNCs, my 0 for all my axes is in the middle of the board. Now that's fine if your CNC machine is actually set up like that, but in reality most CNC machines are set up in one of the corners. Mine is set up so that my 0 is in the bottom left hand corner. So if I click OK, okay, so if all my sheets now nested, I'm going to start with creating toolpaths. I'm going to start with all the vectors that I'm going to cut on the inside. So that's all the hollow areas and all the dowels. Just delete this extra one. Okay, so I've got everyone selected, all the dowels and all the hollow areas. Then go to toolpath, 2D and profile. I want to cut on the inside of all these areas, leave all these unchecked. Finishing depth 11, let's make it 11.5. I'm not gonna add bridges. 6mm end ball, that's fine. I think I'm gonna increase this a little bit. No. Okay, step over should always be less than half the diameter, or the diameter of your tool path. So I'll leave this at 2.5. That's pretty standard. Step down. Okay, so this depends on what material you're cutting. So if you're cutting a hardwood, you would choose maybe a 1mm step down. It's always good to choose a slightly lower step down and then just ramp up the speed in Mach 3 or whatever software you're using. But that's fine. I'll leave it at 2.5. That means I'll cut the wood in 4, I think. 5. If I change this to 3, 6, 9, 12, and then okay, I'll change the step down to 3mm, so I just make 4 runs. Feed rate, I'm gonna leave this because this I can always go and change in Mach 3. You can always change the speed or lower it. 76mm per second is pretty fast, so it should be fine. Alright, so let's try calculate. There's all the tool paths for all the low areas. Okay, so next up I'm gonna select all the outside tool paths, or the outside vectors. Right, so now I have all the outside vectors selected, and I'm going to create another toolpath. But this time I'm going to cut on the outside of the vectors. Leave all this the same. It's fine. I'm going to add breaches. That's just to keep the parts in place as you cut. Let's just add them now. Okay, so these breaches is going to be left in place. So as you cut along, the tool is going to lift up here and cut along here. So you just break out the pieces afterwards, or cut them out, whatever. So the breaches are going to be 10mm in length, and the thickness is going to be 11mm. That's fine. 3D breaches. I prefer 3D breaches because that means the tool path isn't, or the tool itself isn't going to stop, lift up, and then continue. It's gonna move. It's gonna keep on moving as it goes over the bridge. That way, you're not gonna burn the wood itself. Let's see. Cut sequence optimize. That's fine. Let's calculate. Okay, here we go. That looks good. Simulate all two parts. Okay, there you can see the bridges. Alright. So I'm gonna save this as toolpath 1. Alright. So I'm gonna delete all of this. Delete that simulation as well. I'm gonna bring up the next sheet. And I'm going to continue the process. I'm going to ungroup all of this, ungroup all. I'm going to cut on the inside, and then I'm going to cut on the outside. so I'm pretty much finished. Let's see. Alright, so if I'm happy with the toolpaths, I can just go here and save as. Alright, so as both of them are 6mm, I can just add them to one group and it will cut the one and then the other. Alright, so it's gonna save. Let's call this sheet 1. The machine settings, I'm going to be using Mach 3 millimeters dot tap. Alright, so this, depending on your machine, you're going to set this to whatever machine you're using. I built my own machine, so I'm going to use Mach 3. And that's it. Save toolpaths. Let's just see where it's going to save them to. Let's just save them to desktop. Alright, so I'm going to save all these .tap files to the desktop. And there's my G code. If I open this with let's say Notepad, I should see all the G code needed to cut the plywood. There we go. So now I just repeat this step for all my sheets. So here's all my G code. So now I'm pretty much ready to go over to the CNC machine and start cutting out all the plywood.
Thanks for watching. If you guys want to support more content like this, please consider supporting me through Patreon. You can find the link in the description below.